Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Boks. It is a Monday, which means we're going to do a Bok barometer based on the first four matches of the Springboks. 3 tests, 4 matches, 4 wins. Pretty big score lines, but a couple of iffy performances, if we're going to be brutally honest. And within those performances, lots of experimentation, which Rassie Erasmus has said will be toned down going into the Rugby Championship. The goal of the Rugby Championship is to win the tournament. And as a result, the Springbok head coach has indicated that we will basically be naming a experienced squad that can play the way that they want to play during the Rugby Championship. That squad will be named tomorrow and is set to be a 36-man squad for the first 2 matches against Australia. Thereafter, an additional squad will be announced for New Zealand, and an additional squad will be announced for Argentina. So not going to be naming basically one big Rugby Championship squad, rather going to be naming squad for each sort of leg of the Rugby Championship itself. Now today I thought we'd look a bit at the first 4 games and kind of pick out a sort of 5 winners, 5 losers type of situation, just with regards to sort of 5 players who I think will end it up after the 4 matches in a better place, maybe within the squad and within the coach's eyes before the sort of 4 matches, and players who maybe didn't take the opportunity and maybe didn't up their stocks during the 4-match series. Now, it's not to say that these sort of 5 players that didn't impress, for example, are going to be discarded. I think most of them weren't, to be honest, but it did raise a few flags about where they're going to fit in and where there are maybe other players who might be ahead of them right now in the pecking order with regards to sort of, for example, that team that's going to play against the All Blacks. As a Springbok side, we don't necessarily have a 1 and 2 team, a first and a second, or A, B, or C. But we definitely do have stronger teams that we're going to play against, the likes of the All Blacks, Ireland, France. So in that circumstance, we kind of do have, inverted commas, a bit of an A team. But throughout the year, we do rotate so much that there's not really a consistent team playing all the time. But you want to be playing in the big games. So, you want to be making sure that when you play against the All Blacks, Ireland, France, your name is in that 23. And I think these are sort of 10 players who kind of gone up and down throughout the 4 matches. Before we get into it, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, let's get to number 1. And the first, inverted commas, loser of the series is Salman. Just the 1 game for him throughout the series. Did captain against Italy. Got himself just less than an hour. One of the shortest playing times in the squad for the 4-match incoming series. And unfortunately didn't really impress. He's somebody that they keep backing. And they see something in him that I think a lot of maybe the South African public don't. But we keep waiting for him to repay that backing. And we keep waiting for him to come good and have that game where we all can kind of go, right, there he is. There's the player that Rassie Erasmus and his coaching staff see. And it's just not really happening at the moment. And I don't think that right now we are looking at him in a much better light than we were a month ago. I'd be surprised if he makes the squad when it gets announced tomorrow. And unfortunately, I just think that he just hasn't quite taken that step just yet. The first big winner, Grant Williams, number 1 choice. Play him whenever we can. He was a different level when he played for the Boks in those last 2 games. And look, scores tries for fun. X Factor, one of the top scrum offs in the world. It's been quite incredible, actually, because he's not the youngest player. His rise in the last 2 to 3 years has been remarkable, and he changes the way we play. That's the thing about certain players. They change the way we play when we have them. We are a different team when they are in the team. Peter the Toy is another one, for example. And Grant Williams, very much in the same sort of breath, and was tremendous. And I think that he knows that right now he's got that number 9 jersey on lockdown. Another loser, Vincent Koch, not particularly impressive over the weekend. And the reason this is more of a concern is because of the age. He is, I think, at the moment, him and Willie Leroux, the 2 oldest players in the squad. So when you see older players coming on and maybe not having the impact they had a few years ago, we start to question them quite quickly, because we now have to start making big calls ahead of the World Cup in 2027. So if Vincent Koch is not going to be adding a much bigger level than a Neertling Verscheer, an Asenati and Tlabakanye, for example, then we have to start making big decisions. And I think a lot of people on the back of Saturday are saying that, if he doesn't make the squad, he wouldn't be a massive omission. Which is a tough place to be in when you're Vincent Koch. You're a double World Cup winner. You've always been deployed in that bomb squad in the number 18 jersey. I mean, I'd actually love to see how many people have played. I mean, I think he's played 50 plus caps. And it's like only like 10 of them have come off the starting lineup. It's mental. He's been one of the biggest super subs really for the Boks. But I think a lot of people are wondering, has the time come to an end? A big winner, though, Handré Pollard, after a bit of a shaky performance against Italy in that first test, came on against Georgia and looked really comfortable. Kicked well for goal on the back of a disappointing performance from Sash Zulu, and scored a try as well. So that, I think, was a bit of a reminder that he still has it in him. I think after that first Italy test, there were a lot of people that were questioning, where he sort of stands within the squad. Malibok then arrives and Qabecha puts in a really good performance, and all of a sudden, Handré Pollard stocks, for example, are in question. But he once again came off the bench and reminded us that he still has the class, to be in the Springbok squad, to be in and around that lineup, and to potentially even maybe be the starter. And it was a big statement for him because he's been under a lot of pressure a little bit. You might not say so, but, Mani Libok and Sash Zulu are putting pressure on him. It's probably the first time in his career where he hasn't had that number 10 jersey sort of guaranteed on lockdown for the Boks. And that's not actually more to say about what he is. It's more to say about the talent we've got coming through to actually challenge him, which we might not have had previously. In that same breath, Sasha, unfortunately, I don't think had the best 4-match series. I think he had moments, but I think what we saw is what a couple of people have been saying, even at the Stormers. We are talking about a prodigious talent. He's got absolutely everything. He's got pace. He's got X factor. He's got physicality. On his day, he's a very good kicker for goal. But we didn't really see that this series, And Rassie Erasmus revealed that he had an injury in that last test, but he also said that's not really an excuse. You can't kick like he did off the tee. And I think what we're seeing from him is that incredibly talented player, but we're seeing the inexperience. And I think he needs to really refine his game. Hopefully now with, Malibok moving away from Stormers, he's going to have a full season at 10 in the coming year. And that'll do his development a lot of good. But I think what we're seeing right now is that he's ready for this level, but is he the best choice for us right now? And I think that he needs to be around the squad, and he will be around the squad. They're not going to discard him because he is the future. But I think what we're realizing is he's not quite ready just yet to be your number 10 starter in a World Cup final, for example. But he needs to be kept around the squad so we can continue developing him. Edwill van der Merwe, his stocks are through the roof. 5 tries in 3 test matches for the now Sharks winger. And, we talk about having 2 of the best wingers in the world in Kurtley Arendse and Cheslin Colby. We have got another scrum cap winner where I genuinely don't think there's a drop-off. If Kurtley Arendse can't play and they name Edwill van der Merwe, I think right now people are saying happy days. We're not too upset with that. Obviously, we'd love to see Kurtley Arendse, but this man has got the work rate, got the speed, and got the skill set to really push those 2 wingers, and that is really exciting. At the moment, his try scoring record is mental. Yes, it's been against Wales, Italy, Georgia, but I think you put him against the All Blacks. I think you put him against any of the top 5 sides in the world. I think he holds his own, to be perfectly honest. So, big series from him. Bongi Manambi is a player a lot of people are talking about now on social media. Again, a bit like Vincent Koch, struggled when he came on against Georgia. His line-out work during the series has not been good. Our line-outs in general haven't been phenomenal, but more specifically, his line-outs have been poor, which is weird because he's usually our most reliable line operator. Now, you think back 2 years ago to 2023, Bongi Manambi was Mr. Reliable, playing 80 minutes on 80 minutes on 80 minutes after that Malcolm Marx injury. He was sensational in that World Cup. Now we're not seeing quite the same thing. Now, again, I don't see Rassie Erasmus discarding him. He's been such a pivotal part of this Boks squad for a long time that he will be given every opportunity to remind everybody that he's still at that level. But over this final series, we didn't quite see the Bongi Manambi we know. And if he does get the chances against Australia, which I'm sure he will, he'll be under a bit of a microscope to sort of just try and make sure that we are looking at him at the same level and we're not seeing a slight drop-off because he's got a Miles van der Merwe who looks pretty good and looks very settled at this level. So interesting times ahead for Bongi Manambi. Ruan signed, sealed, and dispatched to wherever the Boks are going to go. He has cemented, for me, his spot in the squad. And I think right now, if we were to play a World Cup final tomorrow, he'd have a very good chance being in, the top 4 locks if we went for that sort of 6-2, 2 locks on the bench type of bomb squad. He is the Franco Mostert heir to be. Work rate, pace, very good line operator, very reliable. And he's taken his chance and just gone with it. Man of the match performance against Georgia. Huge statement that. Really big statement that. Especially in the time where for the first time since the 2023 World Cup, we had, or 2019 World Cup, actually, we had the Fab Four. And then we also had Sean Klein in the squad, which is from the 2023 World Cup. And Ruan has come in and said, I'm the part of the next generation, and I can actually go toe-to-toe with Lua Diaga, Eminem Smith, Arthur Stamen, Franco Mostert, and actually outperform some of them at times as well. Huge series for him. Bit of a defining moment, I think, in his career. I think last year he looked good. He looked a lot better last year than I think he did the year before. Sort of in URC, he's kind of really grown and taken the next steps up. Now he looks like he is ready to become that sort of test match animal. Evan Lewis, an unfortunate loser. I don't think it's all bad for Evan Lewis, but just, well, I think it was like 34 minutes or 24 minutes off the bench. That's his entire involvement at a time where Jasper Wiese was banned, at a time where Cameron Hanekom was injured. Jasper Wiese was also injured initially. Jean-Luc Dupree wasn't around. This should have been the time for him to have gotten game time in the number 8 jersey. This should have been the time for him to have really given that a go. Using Cobus Wiese as a number 8 in that test against Georgia ahead of giving him an opportunity. Whilst Rassie Erasmus says, it didn't mean much, I think it does mean a lot. And I think that his stocks are not as high as he'd like them to be because at the moment, he's not becoming a de facto option. And that's where you want to be. You want to become, if Jasper Wiese is the first choice, great, but you want to make sure that as soon as he's injured, you kind of go, all right, now Evan Lewis is into the side. A bit like Marco van Staden with Siya Kolisi. Now, lots of people have said that Marco van Staden had a poor first 2 games, much better game down in Gqeberha. But again, as soon as Siya Kolisi is injured, Marco van Staden comes in. It's a bit of a de facto option. At the moment, Evan Lewis is not that in the number 8 jersey. He needs more chances, I believe. But for whatever reason, he's just not getting that backing right now from the Boks squad. And he needs to try and find ways of getting that chance. And then the final big winner for me, Faf de Klerk, was somebody who last year had a couple of injury issues. We didn't see him in a few squads, back and looked so good off the bench on Saturday. He really did remind us exactly what he's all about. We know that his box kicking is the best of the 4. We know he's defensively so sound. But what we saw on Saturday was a bit like the OG Faf de Klerk. Somebody who was quick with his distribution, looked for options, took the ball to the gain line as well. And I think he upped his stocks. I think he reminded everybody that he is at this level. He's still at this level, and he is probably our number 2 option right now. Off the bench for Grant Williams is actually pretty perfect now for Faf de Klerk. They've almost reversed the roles, which is exciting because, you wonder Faf de Klerk playing at his best. I remember being in France at a time where he was actually being criticized quite a lot. And I was speaking to a couple of other nations' fans, and they were saying, we think you guys have got an absolute gem in Faf de Klerk. And, they would just wish they had somebody of his level in their squad. And it kind of just reminded you of how interesting it is that we're very critical about some of our players, and he may be somebody who is one of them because he has to play to a game plan that a lot of people don't like. But at his best, one of the best scrum halves in the world, and he was at that level on Saturday. Those are my sort of 10 players. 5 up their stocks, maybe 5 didn't. What do you think of them? Where do you disagree? Which players do you think really sort of shine the series? Which players did you think kind of disappointed? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve, and I'll chat to you soon.